Why some Americans succeed early while others struggle, and how to fix it. It was a cold autumn morning in Columbus, Ohio. The sky was gray and a light wind swept across the parking lot of Lincoln High School. Students hugged each other, teachers took photos, and parents smiled proudly as another graduating class prepared to step into adulthood. Among the graduates were two best friends, Ethan Parker and Ryan Mitchell. Both were 18 years old. Both came from hardworking families. Both had average grades. Both dreamed of living successful lives. Yet 10 years later, their lives would look completely different. One would become financially secure before turning 30. The other would spend years struggling, frustrated, and confused about why life wasn't working out the way he expected. Their story reveals one of the biggest reasons some Americans succeed early while others struggle, and most importantly, how anyone can change their path. Chapter 1: The Same Starting Line. Ethan and Ryan grew up only 3 houses apart. Their fathers worked long hours. Their mothers balanced jobs and family responsibilities. Neither family was rich, neither family was poor. Life was ordinary. The boys spent summers riding bicycles, playing baseball, and dreaming about the future. When they were 14, they often sat beside the small pond in a neighborhood park. "What do you think you'll be someday?" Ryan asked. Ethan shrugged. "I don't know, maybe own a business." Ryan laughed. "I'll probably become rich somehow." Neither of them had a clear plan. Like many teenagers, they assumed things would somehow work out. Success felt like something that happened naturally as people got older. Neither understood that adulthood rewards preparation far more than hope. Chapter 2: The First Big Decision. After graduation, their paths began separating. Ethan enrolled at a community college while working evenings at a hardware store. The decision wasn't exciting. Most of his classmates wanted 4-year universities. Community college sounded ordinary, but Ethan knew his family couldn't afford expensive tuition. Instead of focusing on appearances, he focused on practicality. Ryan made a different choice. A local warehouse offered him a full-time position. The pay seemed attractive. For the first time in his life, he would have real money. No homework, no classes, no exams, just work and a paycheck. At first, Ryan felt like the winner. While Ethan spent mornings in classrooms and evenings stocking shelves, Ryan was earning income every week. His bank account grew. He bought nicer clothes. He upgraded his phone. He enjoyed weekend trips with friends. From the outside, Ryan appeared ahead. But life often rewards long-term thinking more than short-term comfort. Chapter 3: A Lesson That Changed Everything. One evening, Ethan was organizing tools in the hardware store when his manager approached him. The manager's name was David. He was in his late 50s and had spent decades working with people from every background imaginable. David noticed Ethan carrying a business book. "You like reading?" he asked. "Trying to," Ethan replied. David smiled. "Let me give you advice that took me 20 years to learn." Ethan listened carefully. Spend 1 hour every day learning something valuable. Do it for 5 years. Your life won't look the same. The advice sounded almost too simple. 1 hour? That didn't seem life-changing. Yet Ethan decided to try. Every evening he read, sometimes business books, sometimes biographies, sometimes books about communication and leadership. He didn't realize it then, But those small daily actions were quietly transforming his future. Chapter 4. The Invisible Advantage. Most people notice success only after it becomes visible. They see promotions, businesses, new homes, financial freedom. What they don't see are the thousands of invisible hours invested beforehand. For Ethan, growth happened slowly. The first book didn't change his life. Neither did the second or the 10th. But each book taught him something useful. A better way to communicate, a smarter way to manage money, a different perspective on problem solving. Over time, those lessons accumulated, like drops of water filling a bucket. Meanwhile, Ryan continued working. He wasn't lazy. In fact, he worked harder than most people he knew. The problem wasn't effort. The problem was direction. He spent nearly all his energy earning money today without investing much time into increasing his value tomorrow. The distinction seemed small, but it would eventually create a massive gap. Chapter 5. Comfort can be dangerous. By age 22, Ryan felt comfortable. His paycheck covered his expenses. Life wasn't perfect, but it was manageable. And that was the problem. Comfort often disguises stagnation. When people are miserable, they change. When people are comfortable, they stay the same. Ryan wasn't suffering enough to improve, yet he wasn't growing enough to move ahead. Years passed. His income increased slightly, but so did his expenses. A newer vehicle, higher insurance payments, more subscriptions, more spending. The raises never seemed to create real progress. Each year looked almost identical to the previous one. Without realizing it, Ryan had entered a cycle that traps millions of people, working harder without growing stronger. Chapter 6. Opportunity Meets Preparation. At 24, Ethan completed his degree. More importantly, he had developed skills, real skills, communication, leadership, sales, technology, problem solving, critical thinking. When a management trainee position opened at a regional company in Cincinnati, hundreds applied. Ethan applied too. The interview lasted nearly 2 hours. The hiring manager asked difficult questions. Many candidates struggled. Ethan didn't. The books he had read, the lessons he had learned, the habits he had built, all of it showed. A week later, he received a call. He got the job. Friends called him lucky, but luck had little to do with it. The opportunity arrived because he had spent years preparing for opportunities. Chapter 7. The Compound Effect. The first year in Ethan's new role was challenging. He worked long hours, made mistakes, faced criticism, doubted himself repeatedly, but he kept learning. Each challenge improved his abilities. Each failure taught a lesson. Each success increased confidence. The process resembled compound interest. At first, growth was barely noticeable. Then it accelerated. By 26, Ethan earned significantly more than he had only 2 years earlier. By 27, he was leading projects. By 28, he was mentoring younger employees. The gap between him and Ryan continued widening, not because Ethan was smarter, because his skills were compounding. Chapter 8. The Wake-Up Call. One rainy Tuesday evening changed Ryan's life. The warehouse reduced employee hours. Business had slowed. Workers were sent home early. Ryan sat alone at his kitchen table reviewing his finances. The numbers shocked him. Years of work, very little savings, no significant investments, no valuable new skills, no clear path forward. For the first time, he felt genuinely scared. He had assumed hard work alone would create success. Yet despite working harder than ever, he remained stuck. That realization was painful, but it was also necessary, because change often begins with uncomfortable truth. Chapter 9, Starting Over. The next morning, Ryan made a simple decision. He would spend 1 hour learning every day. The exact advice Ethan's manager had given years earlier. At first, progress felt painfully slow. He studied digital marketing, watched tutorials, read articles, listened to podcasts during his commute. Many concepts seemed confusing. Many lessons felt overwhelming. Yet he continued. 1 hour became 2. 2 became 3. Weeks became months. Months became years. The person who once spent evenings scrolling endlessly through social media was gradually becoming a student again. And students grow. Chapter 10, The Power of Humility. One of Ryan's greatest breakthroughs came when he stopped pretending to know everything. Many struggling people protect their ego. Successful people protect their growth. Ryan began asking questions, seeking advice, learning from experts, accepting criticism. The process wasn't comfortable. Nobody enjoys discovering how much they don't know. Yet humility became his competitive advantage. Every correction improved him. Every lesson strengthened him. Every mistake became education. For the first time in years, he felt momentum. Chapter 11, The First Client. A small bakery in Columbus needed help attracting customers. Ryan offered assistance. The owner agreed. The pay was tiny. Most people would have considered it insignificant. Ryan accepted anyway. He wasn't focused on money. He was focused on experience. The bakery's online presence improved. Customer traffic increased. The owner was thrilled. Soon another business requested help. Small opportunities created bigger opportunities. The momentum continued growing. Chapter 12, What Successful People Understand. As Ryan learned more about business, he noticed a pattern. Successful people thought differently. They invested in themselves. They valued long-term results. They understood delayed gratification. Most importantly, they accepted responsibility. They didn't blame the economy, their parents, their teachers, their circumstances. They focused on what they could control. That mindset changed everything. Because responsibility creates power. When you blame everything outside yourself, you surrender control. When you take responsibility, you regain it. Chapter 13, Building Something Bigger. By age 28, Ethan's side consulting business had grown steadily. What started as occasional weekend projects became a serious operation. He worked nights, weekends, early mornings. Many friends questioned why he worked so much. "You already have a good job," they said. But Ethan understood something valuable. Security comes from creating options. The more skills he developed, the more opportunities he created. Eventually, his consulting income exceeded his salary. The moment felt surreal. A dream once discussed beside a neighborhood pond had become reality. Chapter 14, Ryan's Turning Point. Ryan experienced his own breakthrough shortly afterward. His small freelance projects evolved into a marketing agency. Nothing enormous, nothing glamorous, but real. He hired a part-time assistant, then another. Clients referred additional clients. Revenue increased. Confidence increased. Most importantly, belief increased. For years, Ryan had doubted himself. Now he finally saw proof that growth was possible. His life wasn't changing because of luck. It was changing because he had changed. Chapter 15. The Reunion. One summer evening, Ethan and Ryan met near the Ohio River in Cincinnati. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold. Boats moved slowly across the water. The friends reflected on the previous decade. Ryan laughed. "Remember when I thought success just happened?" Ethan smiled. "You weren't the only one." Ryan shook his head. "No, but now I understand something." "What?" Ryan looked toward the horizon. "The biggest difference between successful people and struggling people isn't talent." Ethan waited. "It's what they do when nobody is watching." Ethan nodded, because he knew Ryan was right. Success is usually built in private before it's celebrated in public. Chapter 16. Teaching the Next Generation. Several years later, the two friends were invited to speak at their former high school. Hundreds of students filled the auditorium. Many looked nervous. Many looked uncertain. Many wondered what their future would become. A student raised her hand. "Why do some people succeed early while others struggle?" The room became silent. Ryan answered first. "Because success begins before results appear." The student looked confused. Ryan continued. "Most people quit when they don't see immediate progress." Ethan stepped forward. "But improvement compounds. The person who learns one useful thing every day eventually becomes extraordinary." The students listened carefully. Another student raised his hand. "So what's the secret?" Ethan smiled. "There isn't one." The audience laughed. "I'm serious," he said. "Read, learn, improve, save money, build skills, stay consistent. Most people know what works. Few people do it long enough." The room erupted with applause, not because the answer was complicated, because it was true. Chapter 17. The Real Difference. Years later, people often compared Ethan and Ryan. Some focused on their businesses, others focused on their income. But the true difference wasn't financial. The true difference was personal growth. They had become different people, more disciplined, more capable, more resilient. Success wasn't something they achieved. It was someone they became. And that distinction matters. Because external success can disappear. Money can be lost. Businesses can fail. Jobs can end. But skills remain. Knowledge remains. Character remains. Those are assets nobody can easily take away. Chapter 18. How to Fix the Struggle. The lesson from Ethan and Ryan's journey is surprisingly simple. If you're struggling today, start learning. If you're stuck, develop skills. If you're frustrated, take responsibility. If you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, prepare before it arrives. Read books, learn valuable skills, improve communication, manage money wisely, surround yourself with growth-minded people. Stay consistent, not for a week, not for a month, for years. Because real transformation rarely happens overnight. But it almost always happens eventually for those who refuse to quit. Final message. The truth is that some Americans succeed early because they start building habits, skills, and knowledge before most people recognize their value. Others struggle because they delay those investments. The encouraging news is that your future isn't determined by your past. You can start today. You can learn today. You can improve today. And one day, years from now, people may look at your success and call you lucky. They won't see the books, the sacrifices, the discipline, the failures, the countless small decisions that changed everything. But you'll know, and that's what matters. Because success is rarely one big moment. It's thousands of small moments moving in the same direction. One choice, one lesson, one habit, one day at a time. The end. Oh. Closing note. Thank you for watching and listening to this story. If this story inspired you, remember that success is not about where you start. It's about the direction you choose and the actions you take every day. Stay motivated, keep learning, and never stop investing in yourself. Be sure to stay on this channel for more inspiring stories, life lessons, and motivational content designed to help you grow and succeed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new story. Good luck, and may your future be brighter than your past. See you in the next story.